What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Today, I'm going to be going over my top 10 sales from eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari for the month of April. In this video, I'm going to show you what items sold, how much I paid for it, where I got it from. I'm going to give you all the details for each and every sale. I'm going to start with the item that sold for the least, which was an $80 sale, and move all the way up to my highest dollar sale for the month, which was a $550 sale, and it was an item that sold in only one day. So do me a favor, as you're watching the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, because I'm going to be bringing one of these videos every single month. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, starting off with the first sale, it is actually going to be an eBay sale, and it's for this vintage Reebok tracksuit that sold for $80. Now, I picked this up at a thrift store for $20. It was a really good pickup for one reason and one reason only, and that's because this item is brand new with tags. You can see right there at the bottom, it has its tags hanging off of it. So this is vintage, dead stock, Reebok. It's very, very rare to find one of these in brand new condition. Now, if you look up comps on eBay, they're super hard to find accurate comps because on a piece like this, these don't get listed too often. So I kind of just arbitrarily priced my item. I saw some comps low, like $30, other comps all the way to $200. So I priced mine at $120. After about 3 months, I got a best offer on this of $80. I didn't even worry about countering because I only had $20 invested in this piece, and I took that $80 offer. Again, this is a piece that you're not really going to find too often at a thrift store, but pieces like this, especially dead stock, new with tag items, you might want to give them a second glance and look them up because they could be a gem just like this piece. All right, going right back to eBay, we have a Polo Ralph Lauren item, one of my favorite brands to sell because you can consistently find it in every thrift. This was not thrifted, however. I actually got this from a local bulk buy. Now, this vest is special. Typically, a Ralph Lauren V-neck vest won't catch this much money for it, but the reason this sold for so much is because it has that Fair Isle pattern to it. Make sure you put that in your title. And then also, this one was made out of linen, cotton, and silk. One of my most frequently asked questions that I get on my lives and in my videos is, how do you sell Polo Ralph Lauren? It's because I only pick up specific Ralph Lauren pieces. So as you can tell by this piece, it has that pattern going all throughout. It's that super like Nordic, wintry vibes. And people really love these, especially collectors. And because it is made out of that linen, cotton, and silk blend, it definitely drives up the value. So like I said, I picked this up in a bulk buy and I only paid $8 for it. And this sold full price, $99.99. plus shipping. And this is the first of a few Polo Ralph Lauren items that were my top selling items for the month. So stay tuned. All right, next sale, you guessed it, sold over on eBay. This one is super rare and I nearly passed this up at the thrift store. So this is a Peter Millar Summer Comfort Cap Tech Tour issued polo. The reason I almost passed it at the thrift store is because it has all of that gaudy embroidery all over it. It's got it on the front, it has it on the back, it has it on the sleeves. But what stopped me is that logo on the collar. Typically when these are embroidered, it's just on the chest and just on the sleeve. But the reason I stopped is because of that embroidery. Typically when they're embroidered on the collar, it's something special. You'll see this in FootJoy polos when they have the FJ on the collar, or they'll have Titleist on the collar. That definitely drives up the value. So I took a second and I was only $6.42. So I decided to look at this item. I looked it up on eBay and I couldn't find exact comps for it, but I found some similar ones that were saying they were tour issued. So I took the gamble for $6.42. I got it home, I looked it up, and the way I found it was actually this Nets Jets logo. I looked that up on eBay and it brought up a few that were tour issued, some of which sold for $150. And I think at the time there was a $200 sale. So I listed mine super high. I listed it for $150. And remember, I only paid $6.42 for this, and it sold. I took a best offer for $100 for this polo. So I turned $6.42 into $100 strictly because I did some extra research. So if you're out there at the thrift store and you see some polos with embroidery on the collar, make sure you stop a second, look them up. Not all of them are going to be worth a ton of money, but this one was, and I'm glad I picked it up. I'm telling you guys, I was so close to leaving this one behind. All right, the next item that sold, of course, sold on eBay. I promise we're going to get to some Poshmark and Mercari sales. And it's another Ralph Lauren sale. So this is one of two of our retail arbitrage sales. This was picked up from a retail store. If you don't know what retail arbitrage means, it means basically you're going into a retail store, you're buying an item for the sole purpose to flip back online. And I paid up for this piece. So I paid $53.50, but this one sold in one day for $100. Now, this is a piece that I would definitely be looking for if you're at the thrift store. Denim polo Ralph Lauren sells very fast, and it usually sells for a lot more than the basic shirts sell for. This one just had that classic denim look to it, that faded denim, and it also had the metal buttons, two things going for it. I picked up, like I said, two of these at the same retail store. This one sold super fast because it was a men's 2XL. I believe the other one that sold was either an XL or a large. Typically, when they're in bigger sizes, they will sell a lot faster. And I know a lot of people get scared off from that price point of paying $53 for something, but this is a piece that I have sold pre-owned for right around $50. So I knew picking up for $53.50 and looking up comps when I was in the store that this should be a super fast sale and it should sell for right around $100. And sure enough, it did. So again, definitely look out for these denim Ralph Lauren shirts whenever you're out there in the thrift store. Moving on to another eBay sale, and right after this, we'll get to a Mercari sale. This right here is an item you should be on the lookout for. I know a lot of people avoid the blazer section, but this is a Canali Loro Piana blazer. So what makes this special is that Loro Piana fabric tag, which you can see hanging right there. This one was a size 50R, which in Canali suits converts to 40. So make sure you're doing that for your listings. You just take 10 off of whatever that European size is and make sure you put that in your listing title. But this was also a double-breasted blazer. And from my experience, double-breasted blazers typically command a little bit of a higher value. So that being mixed with the Loro Piana fabric was definitely a win for this piece. So I picked this suit up for $8 in a local bulk buy. I know I'm going to get questions about how I set up these bulk buys. Literally, I met a gentleman in a thrift store while I was thrifting. He saw how much product was in my cart, and he let me know that he thrifts often, and he had a whole room full of stuff, and that's where I sourced this from. So my buy cost across everything basically is $8 whenever I do any bulk buys from this guy. So I paid $8 for this, and it sold for $124.99 plus shipping. Really good sale. So let me tell you, I hate listing blazers. Blazers and shoes are the two things for some reason I just hate listing, but you need to learn the blazer section because blazers are some of my highest selling items, and I'll show you another one right now. All right, so the moment you've all been waiting for, finally something other than an eBay sale. This right here is an awesome sale. Another blazer, but this one was a polo Ralph Lauren Madras blazer. So this is an example of another item that I paid up for. I paid $48.15 for this at a thrift store. The reason I paid up for it is because this is a super rare piece. It's an older piece. They still make retros of this same exact style if you go to Polo Ralph Lauren outlets and stuff like that. But this piece right here is one you need to be on the lookout for. Not only the blazers, but the pants can command a big, high dollar value. Also the shirts too. If they have this classic like Madras, like patchwork all over print, be on the lookout for them. They always sell super fast and super well. So again, I paid $48.15 for this blazer, and it sold over on Mercari of all places for $134.99. As you guys, most of you guys probably know, Mercari now has no fees for the sellers. All fees are paid by the buyers. And I'm seeing a lot of higher dollar sales sell on Mercari because people who are paying up for items really don't care if they're going to pay a little bit more in fees. So I didn't pay any fees on this. I paid $48.15 for it at a thrift store, and I sold it for $134.99 plus shipping. Buyer paid shipping on this too. So all that money comes to my pocket. So don't be afraid to cross-list your items to other platforms. I actually use a service called Autoposher to do this. I have a tutorial here on YouTube showing exactly how Autoposher works. This blazer probably took me 15 seconds after I listed it to eBay to bring over to Autoposher through their cross-listing features. So if you're interested in expanding the number of platforms that you sell on and you want to try out Autoposher, there's a free trial for it. And then if you use code KWayShop, you'll save $5 off your first month. This, of course, is an affiliate link, so not only does it give you $5 off, but it also helps the channel. So feel free to give it a try. Again, there's a free trial for it, and this just lets you expand yourself to more platforms. And speaking of selling on other platforms, we have our first Poshmark sale, where these Nikes that I picked up actually retail arbitrage from Nordstrom Rack. So this is an example of an item that was strictly a one-off pair. I don't think if you go to Nordstrom Rack today or tomorrow, you're going to find these. There was only one pair in the entire store, and I visited a couple stores in the area, and this is the only pair I found. I paid $22.29 for these, and they sold in less than a month over on Poshmark for $135. Now, this is a style you need to be on the lookout for, even if you're out there thrifting in pre-owned condition, because these can sell in pre-owned condition anywhere between $60 to $125, depending on the style and the colorway. And when you're out there doing retail arbitrage, make sure you're looking for the one-offs. If you go to stores like TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Nordstrom Rack, and you're seeing a lot of the same items over and over again, those are the items you typically try to avoid. And if you go to a store and you see an item like this that catches your eye and you haven't seen it at any other store, take a second to look it up, because after fees, shipping, cost of goods, I made about a $90 profit on this sale. Really, really good. Finding it from a retail store and flipping it online. I try to do that often because, to be honest, selling new tag items is a lot easier than selling pre-owned, because items like this don't have stains or anything like that. So really good sale. Picked it up from a retail store, flipped it back online. All right, for the next sale, we're heading back over to eBay, and this is another Polo Ralph Lauren piece. You're probably going to see a lot of Polo Ralph Lauren over the next few months, so make sure you're taking notes, because I always get asked which pieces sell the best. This is one that you need to be on the lookout for. This is a Ralph Lauren 100% leather jacket. So this one did have some wear to it. As you can see from these photos, it does have some wear on the sleeves and on the shoulders. Now, leather jackets are kind of like blue jeans. If they do have some wear on them, you're going to price them a little bit lower, but people don't really mind having a little bit of wear on their leather, just like they don't mind having some rips and tears on their blue jeans. Just adds character to the jacket. Obviously, if this was in mint condition, I probably would have listed a little bit higher, but this one I did pay up for. I paid $80 for it, and it sold best offer $150 over on eBay. And I believe this jacket sold in 3 days. This is just a classic Ralph Lauren jacket. And also be on the lookout for the ones with the pony logos on the front. As you can see right there, this one has that pony logo. There's ones that are just blank black leather jackets. Those ones still can sell for really good money, but the people out there that are collecting these jackets and they want the jackets, they want everybody to know they're wearing the polo piece. So the ones with the ponies on the front typically sell faster and for more money. And this again is another example of an item that I didn't mind paying up for, because I know how fast these sell. So if you ever see one of these out in the wild and they are priced up a little bit, just make sure you do your research. Obviously, bigger sizes sell better. This one was a men's XL. So to me, this was a no-brainer. I paid $80 for it. In just a couple days, I sold it for $150. All right, moving on to our second to last sale, and our last Poshmark sale are these Allen Edmond shell cordovan shoes that sold for $250. So I am definitely not a shoe expert, but these Allen Edmonds are super easy to look up, and that's how I could tell that these were made out of that shell cordovan leather. The way I look these up is on that inside tongue right there. It says 9097. Took that number and I looked it up on eBay, and I found exact models of these selling for right around that $250 mark. Now, these shoes were in really, really good condition as far as the top goes. As you can see from these product photos, super nice condition. There was no like major scratching on the leather. That's something you need to look out for when you're looking at shoes, especially dress shoes. But on the bottoms, they had a little bit of wear. Even though they had wear, this is still a pair that commands a high value, especially since the leather was in such good condition. This is probably an item that the person buying it is just going to get it resold anyway. So don't worry about listing these up. Make sure you do, because that shell cordovan material definitely commands a higher dollar. And I don't know if I mentioned how much I paid for these. I only paid $16.05 at a thrift store for these. It's one of the only like 2 pairs I picked up at the thrift store that day, along with a bunch of clothing. And at the time, I really didn't know exactly what I had. I kind of did a little looking up of them. I saw some higher sales and some lower sales. When I got back, I really did some more research, and that's how I could tell that I had a gem on my hand. So yes, I turned $16.05 from a thrift store, from a thrifted item, to $250 on Poshmark. All right, and my last and final sale, my best sale of the month, came over on eBay, and it was these men's Lucchese Cayman boots that sold for $550. Now, this is another example of an item that I paid up for. I paid $267.50 for these at a thrift store. I know that just blew some people's minds. Why are thrifts charging that much money? This I purchased from a for-profit thrift store. So this thrift store is in business strictly to make a profit. So they do look up specific items like this. This item was actually priced at $500, but the tags at this store go half off once a week. You probably already know what store I'm talking about. That's red, white, and blue. It's a store I frequent very often. So I picked these up. I saw them behind the counter and I asked to look at them. When I got them in my hand, I realized how big they were. They were a men's size 15. So I did a little bit of research. I only had like 30 seconds to really look at these. I don't really want to hold the line up for 30 minutes as I'm trying to do like thorough research on these. So I did a little bit of research and I realized there were no men's size 15 listed on eBay made out of Cayman. So I knew potentially these would be worth it to pick up because I know how rare and expensive Cayman boots are. So I saw some other comps in like size 13 and 14 that were pretty high. So I went ahead and took the gamble. It was actually a slower day at the thrift store this day, so I didn't really spend that much money. So I was like, all right, I'll go ahead and dump some money on this purchase and just give it a shot. I had a really good feeling about these boots. For one, they were in excellent condition. As you can see, they're like fully like embossed. Like all of this is etched out on it. And then of course that classic Cayman look to them. One thing I want to talk about with these boots is they were altered, and at the thrift store, I didn't realize it. So first thing I did when I got home is I called my buddy, Ethan Banks. I actually FaceTime him. You guys know him as the college reseller. He does primarily shoes. Pretty much everything he does is shoes. And anytime I have a question about shoes, I always reach out to him, and he's always a really good help. So I did FaceTime with him, and I showed him the boots, and he told me that one thing that was an issue with these boots are they are altered. So as you can see right here, they have a zipper on the side. Most likely because they're size 15, it's harder to get that big foot all the way down in the bottom. So the person that had these before had these professionally altered to put that zipper on the side. So because of that, I was a little bit worried at first. He was letting me know that it might be a little harder to sell because of that zipper. But again, mine was the only size 15 listed. I did some more research behind the scenes, and I've seen that on Terapeak, I think there was 3 sold, and they sold for really good money. I think the highest sold for like $5 or $600. I can't remember off the top of my head. So I decided to list these really high. All 3 of those pairs sold super fast. So knowing that and knowing I had the only size 15 available, and after going back and forth and getting Ethan's opinion, I decided to list these at $700. And all in all, these were in really good condition. The only issue being that zipper. So listed them for $700, and I immediately got a $250 offer. So seeing that $250 offer come through, I knew if worst come to worst, they're worth $250. At least I can make some of my money back. Obviously, after fees, I would still lose some money. But I actually started countering that person, and they came up a little bit, and I think they stopped at $350, and they wouldn't move anymore. $350 was their max, and they said that they didn't want to pay any more than that. And I let them know that I just got them listed, and because they'd already gone to $350, I'm going to wait to see what kind of other offers I get. Luckily, I did that. I think there was 4 other buyers that came in and made me offers, and eventually I got a collector that offered me $550 for these boots. They were listed for less than 24 hours. I think they were actually only listed for like 4 hours, and I took that $550 offer. So I turned $267.50 into $550 in less than a day. I call that a win. And I know that might be out of some people's budget. You can't afford to pay $250 for a pair of boots, especially if you're a new seller. But I will tell you, as you grow knowledge and as you get more experienced in this business, pieces like this are going to come across. And if you have the capital, you should drop it on a piece like this, because you'd be leaving, I think I made like $167 in profit in one day because I was willing to pay up. You can't get everything at the bins. You can't get everything for $1 or 50 cents from a garage sale. Some items you're going to have to pay up for. So there you go. That's it. That's my top 10 sales for the month of April. If you like this video and you learned something new, make sure you hit that like button. If you're not subscribed already, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next month.